Today we're talking about The Planets by Holst and Rio by Duran Duran. They go together perfectly, and I'm going to tell you why. You see, I've decided to build a little collection of actual records that really mean something to me, all with a story attached. And it starts with these two. They go together because they are where it all began. It was Christmas 1983. I was 9 years old and I wanted a Walkman personal cassette player. Everyone had one and I wanted in. And on Christmas morning, I remember opening this cool silvery techno marvel and being so excited. And to go with it, Santa brought me two tapes. Planets by Holst and Rio by Duran Duran. The first two albums I owned are forever linked in my head as a result. But you know what? I was actually angry with Santa because I didn't want Rio. I wanted the new Duran Duran album that had The Reflex on it. I didn't even know what the album was called. But when I opened this one and found that The Reflex wasn't on it, I was gutted and made it clear to everyone that this was the wrong one. My poor mum and dad, I'm so sorry. But when I listened to it, the cool sound effect opening, the vibe of Rio dancing on the sand, the mood of Hungry Like the Wolf. I didn't know what they were actually singing about, but I wanted to be hungry like the wolf. I listened and listened and listened to that album. And as I've been playing it again now, I find myself singing along and remembering all the words. Isn't it amazing how the brain does that? So Rio opened up the world of popular music to me. And right alongside it, The Planets by Holst. Classical, yes. I'd grown up around orchestras. My dad was a musician, one of the most versatile and respected trumpet players in London. He worked in the West End, on pop records and tours, film soundtracks, and with all the major London orchestras, including the Philharmonia, who recorded this in 1981 with Simon Rattle. So this record is special to me for two reasons. It was the first classical record I owned, and my dad's on it. Actually, there's a third reason it's special that I'll mention in a minute. After just saying, I love this piece. The power of Mars in that distinctive 5/4 time. It was obviously an inspiration to John Williams when he wrote the Star Wars music. How that brutal, dark stuff of the Bringer of War is followed by serenity, calm and beauty in Venus, the Bringer of Peace. And how those contrasts continue across the whole suite. I used to stand in my room with my headphones on, listening to Jupiter, imagining the orchestra was spread out before me and conducting. I learned all the cues, the time changes, and this record got me completely hooked on the sound an orchestra makes. And although there are other great recordings of The Planets, I'm completely imprinted on how Simon Rattle did it in 1981. The other reason I love this record, well, that's another story that goes with another record. So I'll talk about that in another video soon. But first, do you have either of these two records or another recording of The Planets that you love? Tell me a story in the comments. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll see you soon for another music story.